Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. Thanks for everyone that's joining me on this podcast. I have been having a very busy day and I've got a new job and I'm also doing some extracurricular activities as well. So it's taking up all my time. Very hard to make YouTube videos right now. So I'll try my best. I have been following the news and I've been meaning to talk about this. I know it's a bit late, but better late than never. So I'm going to be talking about Germany mainly today, and also Russia and a few other things. I'll probably end up today talking about the idiot of the day as well. And I'll also put in a stupid article of the day as well. So, as you know, Germany has finally has finally agreed to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. And a few days ago, Germany was reluctant to send them. First, it was UK that agreed to send them, which I'm not very happy about, to be honest. I mean, Britain is actually sinking in quicksand, and Rishi has got time to send tanks and other munitions and weapons across to Ukraine and money as well, while Britain is absolutely sinking in the sand. Next February the 1st, all of the civil servants are going on strike, including me. So the whole economy is absolutely in a shambles. And last week, some economic reports came that Britain produced the fewest cars in all its history. They only produced 700,000 cars, while in the 1970s they used to produce millions. And that goes to show Britain's manufacturing is going downhill. Car companies are moving out of Britain, like BMW, Mini, Volkswagen. Even Japanese companies like Honda are moving their factories out. So there's not really much hope left for Britain. The financial sectors are moving to Europe. As you know, with Brexit, a lot of bankers are going to European banks. And also, the rest of the UK's economy is pretty much in shambles. There's no trade between Europe anymore. So a lot of these businesses are shutting down or closing up shop. I'm going to talk about Britain in a separate video, but you get the drift, guys. Britain is absolute dog shit at the moment, and Rishi has time to send stuff to Ukraine. Absolute unbelievable, unbelievable. Anyway, a few days ago, I thought Germany is actually standing up for itself, and I thought this was surprising. And I could see the amount of pressure Scholz was getting on the media. Even his own German DW media was completely against him. He was getting so much pressure, and I thought, I wonder if he can withstand this all of this pressure. And guess what? It didn't even take him a couple of days, and he basically finally, gave up to all of that pressure and finally decided to give away the tanks. I mean, it really didn't take him much. He really is the weakest guy, as a leader you can have in Europe. A little bit of pressure and that's it. He gives in. I mean, come on. A strong leader would not ever give in to pressure. They look after the best interest of his own people. They would never cave into outside pressure. But we know Germany doesn't really have its own sovereignty. And end of the day, all it took was probably a call from Biden or from somebody from the White House and say, Scholz, listen, you need to send those tanks. Otherwise, there will be trouble. And Scholz was like, "All right, sir, sorry, sir, I'm really sorry, sir. I'll send them. I'll send them right away. I'll send them right away." So initially, Scholz said that Germany is prepared to send tanks as well as as long as US sends Abram tanks. And today I just saw the news that US is also going to send Abram tanks as well. There was some sort of Biden press conference which was absolutely laughable. And the funny thing is, these Abram tanks will have to be built from scratch, and they're going to be sent to Ukraine. and Biden said this is all going to take about a year. I mean, is Ukraine going to even survive a year? Come on. I mean, this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my whole life. I mean, deliver weapons a year later. I mean, there won't be a Ukraine left a year later. They're not even going to survive this coming summer. I mean, and this is why the United States and all the other countries were pressurizing Germany because they can obviously send these tanks quicker. But as you know, the history of Germany and Russia, I believe the number is around 23 million Russian died fighting the Germans in the world wars. And obviously, it's a huge number. It's really greatly affected Russian population. Even now, Russia has got a huge landmass, but its population is very small compared to its landmass. And back then, German tanks were rolling into Moscow and stuff like that. And again, a lot of Russians, even Russians who are not even pro-Putin, will also be remembering the times in the Second World War when Germans were driving into Moscow and stuff like that. So now a lot of people who are not with the war, not with Putin, are finally siding with Putin, thinking, you know what, the West is really out to get us. They're ready to send German tanks to come into Moscow and destroy us. And I think Putin was right. I'm gonna follow him. I'm gonna support him. So this is an absolute backstab by the Germans. I mean, the Russians have done a lot for Germany over the years. I mean, you have to remember Germany was split in half. You had West Germany and East Germany and Berlin. There was a Berlin Wall, and Russia could have easily have stayed, in was it East Germany or West Germany? I can't remember which part of Germany Russia was in. They could have easily stayed in that part of Germany. They could have easily have done it. But they were given assurances that Germany would not go, back into its imperialistic Nazi past, and they made so many assurances. There was supposed to be good friendships between the two countries, and there was a lot of assurances given. And now Germany is sending tanks to kill Russians, and I think it's an absolute backstab if there ever was. And if you think about the irony of it, Russians were the ones that, defeated Germany in the end. I mean, Russia had the most casualties, and if it wasn't for Russia, Europe would have lost the war with Germany, no doubt. America had probably the lowest amount of involvement in the Second World War. However, they had the biggest gains. They managed to somehow put 50,000 US troops in Germany till this day, till today. And now they are controlling Germany. They're controlling the government, they're controlling everything about Germany. And seems like US has become the biggest winner of the Second World War with Russian lives. Russia is the one that lost the lives fighting the war, fighting the German Nazis. They gave up half of Germany, and looks like the West or America or NATO, they're the ones that benefited from it. And if you think about it, it's not really fair. It's not really fair on the Russians. It's not really fair on the grand scheme of things, if you think about it. So anyway, let's talk about this article here. I'm not going to read the article like most YouTubers do, but I'm just going to give you my opinions. I've already read it, and I'm just going to talk about it, basically. So Germany approves Leopard tank deliveries to Ukraine. Numbers, supplies, and timeframes explained. It's not many Leopard tanks, by the way. I mean, we're talking about less than 100 altogether. And United States is sending about 30. UK is sending about 13. So altogether, we're talking about 100, give or take. Other countries are sending them as well. Germany has approved other countries to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine as well. But they're not going to be brand new tanks. They're obviously going to be second hand or ones that don't work or old ones lying around, you know. But if you think about it, guys, this has now become the latest super weapon against Russia. First, it was the javelins. If you remember, the javelins were supposed to be the game changer. They thought they would use the javelins like in Afghanistan, where all the Mujahideen was using stingers against Russian helicopters and airplanes and stuff, which kind of turned the tide. And they thought javelins would turn the tide. Then came the HIMARS. They said the HIMARS are the super weapons. They're going to turn the tide. And now you have these tanks, Challenger 2, Leopards, Abram tanks. But anybody who knows war would know that these tanks are bloody useless. They're bloody useless for many reasons, guys. I mean, there's too many reasons to even talk about, but I'm going to give you some of the main reasons. Number one, who controls the air? It's definitely not Ukraine because it's Russia. Russia controls the air. They have full control of the airplanes. They have full control of the missiles, and they have full control of the battlefield. So if you don't have control of the air, these tanks are pretty much easy to take out very easily. All you need is a guided missile to hit one of them, or you need an airplane to just drop some bombs on it, and that's it. Your job done. Is finished. Then you have the problem of transporting these tanks all the way to from Poland all the way to where the fighting is. Let's say Donbass, for example. How the hell are they going to do that? And then you have the problem of fuel. Abrams tanks uses jet fuel or something. And the other main reason is who's going to actually drive these tanks or work these tanks. Because to be a tank man, according to New Atlas, this takes years of training. If you go, you know, and you don't really know everything about the tank. One person drives it, one person is the gunner, one person loads the missiles and torpedoes. You know what I mean. Different people for different tasks. And this is not something you can learn on a fast track. And what if something breaks? You need somebody who can fix them. You need spare parts as well. You need somebody who knows the tank inside out. And that takes years of like training and practice. So what I suspect is probably NATO guys will be driving the tanks. That's what I suspect, with a couple of Ukrainian guys in the tanks helping them out or something. Definitely not. It's definitely not going to be driven by a team of Ukrainians because, first of all, they don't have the know-how, and it's going to take them years. So I think it's going to be NATO driven, and they're just going to be taken out, guys. I mean, it's going to be very easy for Russia to take out these tanks. I mean, how many tanks does Ukraine have right now? I mean, it's not many, and most of them have been blown up either by airplanes or by missiles or Russian anti-tank missiles, or by just just fighting the war with other Russian tanks as well, and it's just not going to work. And Russia has hundreds, hundreds and thousands of these anti-tank missiles, and they've got like thousands of Russian tanks as well going around Ukraine. There is no chance these tanks will make any difference to the battlefield whatsoever. And my opinions are basically agreed by this article as well. Best tanks are going in Ukraine. What will it mean on the battlefield? Nothing, guys. Absolutely nothing. You can have the best tank in the world, but it, all it takes is one missile from an aircraft, Russian aircraft, and that's it. You're gone. What are you going to do? Ukraine does not control the air. Russia does. So whoever controls the air can, you know, protect these tanks and support these tanks. Without the air control, these tanks are pretty much useless. So the next thing on the escalatory ladder, they're talking about sending F-16s. And again, you got to ask yourself, this is not going to work because first of all, you need to have fighter jets to kind of learn how to use the F-16. So again, that's going to take years. Secondly, where they're going to land, where they're going to take off from, definitely not any Ukraine bases because Russia is destroying all military airports in Ukraine. So they won't be flying from anywhere in Ukraine, that's for sure. And if these planes were used in the battlefields, they're probably, used from other runways from other countries, which means that these countries are supporting this war physically, and Russia might respond in kind. So again, small steps. These are small escalatory steps which are being taken, but this could lead to greater and greater things. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So there's been a purge of a lot of Zelensky's aides, and the latest purge is basically a lot of resignations have come about because a lot of them were caught basically doing some sort of gambling racket. Some of them were accused of buying an estate worth 10 million um, in the center of Kiev during wartime. And there's huge scandals all over his team. And then you have this guy who used to be Zelensky's close aide, is now basically going on Ukrainian television bad mouthing Zelensky. And he's saying now that Russia's going to win, blah blah blah. Zelensky's lied, and Zelensky's killing all his people, and he's really is putting the nail in the coffin of Zelensky. And I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised all of this has come out now. And again, it's very much a media blackout in the West. None of the West is going to talk about it. Everybody's hard-earned cash is basically going into these guys' pockets, and nobody's really mentioning about it in the West, not in America, not in UK. And only stuff you can find this on is on RT. And I don't know if I told you guys about my trip to the cinema once, and they were taking £1 extra for a charity. And I asked them what charity this was, and they said, "Oh, this is for Ukraine." I said, I don't want to be giving my money, hard-earned money, to Ukraine, so I want a refund of that charity money that you've forcefully taken without even asking me. So they had to, forcefully refund that money. And the people at the cinema had a really shocked look. How dare he not give money to Ukraine? And obviously, this is not happening now, but this happened during the circus when everybody was giving money to Ukraine. And now you know where all of that money has ended up. It ended up in the pockets of a lot of these Zelensky's aides and stuff like that. And those of you who did give money to Ukraine, shame on you. I mean, you should exactly know where your money is going, and if you don't, then you need to do the research. You need to follow the right channels on YouTube. You just got yourself to blame, guys. I have no sympathy. So I want to talk about a story about Kashida and Russia. And Kashida recently basically said that they will firmly request Russia to resume talks on suspended 1998 fishing pact. Firmly request. And he also wanted to talk to Russia about the peace treaty as well. And you can see this article was updated on 23rd of January. And Moscow has scrapped the World War II peace treaty talks over its coordinated response to Ukraine and its ally to the US and Europe. So as you know, every action leads to a reaction. And this is the reaction of Japan getting involved in all these sanction wars against Russia. I mean, what did they expect? Do they expect they can just sanction Russia for free and Russia is not going to respond? I mean, let me tell you something. This war is between Russia, United States, Europe, NATO. What the hell has Japan got to do with it? Seriously, it's got nothing to do with Japan. It's not even anywhere near Japan. So why did Japan have to get involved and start sanctioning Russia? Do the Japanese think that they are living in the West? And the funny thing is, after all of these sanctions they've placed on Russia, Japan basically is asking Russia to go back to peace talks and get those islands back that they have dispute with. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. And you can see by you can see here, Peskov dismissed the possibility that Russia might resume talks on signing a peace treaty with Japan's government. Japan has quite actively joined the camp of countries that became unfriendly to us, and with its actions in terms of bilateral relations, Japan is not displaying anything constructive. Furthermore, Putin's press secretary said that any meaningful dialogue with Tokyo is currently absent, and certainly under these conditions, it is hardly possible to talk about possibility of de facto. So you see, it's a real slap in the face to Japan. So, Mr. Kishida, you should have thought about your actions before you have a peace talks with with your neighbor. You should always consider what your actions would bring. For example, if I have friendly relations with my next door neighbor and suddenly I place sanctions on him, and the next day I ask him for next day I invite him for a barbecue, is he going to turn up? No way. I just sanctioned the guy a day before. I mean, seriously, this is how it works. If you want to have peace talks with a country, you got to be peaceful to them, and that means no sanctions. And it's just ridiculous. Japanese leaders are an absolute joke, guys, an absolute joke. I made a video about Japan a few days ago, so if you have a chance to catch up, make sure you watch that video. So now I'm coming to the idiot of the day, and the idiot of the day is obviously Annalena Baerbock. And look at that face. I mean, that is a face of somebody that the doctor probably slapped when she was born, because this woman said that basically EU is at war with Russia, or Germany is at war with Russia. EU countries were fighting against Russia. You can see here, EU countries were fighting a war against Russia. I mean, has this woman forgotten about the World War One, World War Two? I mean, is she that stupid? I mean, come on. She's the leader of the Greens Party, right? And anybody who knows Greens Party, they are advocates in green and climate change and anti-war. They are all about peace. But what the hell are this Green Party doing? They sound like they are Nazis parading in a Green Party. I mean, seriously, what the hell is this woman on? Everything she's doing against not only just Russia but against China, it's all this anti-Chinese, anti-Russian rhetoric, pro-Western imperialism. And this woman seriously needs her brains checked. I just can't believe some of the words is coming out of her mouth. And also, guys, before Scholz agreed to send those Leopard 2 tanks, she went on Twitter and she said Germany is not going to be blocking any countries from sending Challenger 2 tanks to Ukraine. And she said that before even Scholz said anything. So she's going beyond the leaders, chancellor's, words and actions. She's going behind the back of her leader and posting stuff on Twitter, making decisions for him. This woman seriously needs to be, sacked. And This is the worst foreign minister, as you know, compared to somebody like Liz Truss, for example. She was even worse, but this woman's probably beats it. And the most stupid article of the day comes from the Daily Mirror, and you can see here China could spy on millions of Brits through microchips in fridges and even light bulbs. I mean, can you believe this shit? Can you believe the kind of shit articles the Daily Mirror is coming out with? China could use small chips and devices to spy on Britons, and the report says the potential threat is much higher than that of the Chinese made components in mobile phones. And And he says, ministers have been warned China could spy on millions of Brits by using microchips embedded in cars, domestic appliances such as fridges, and even light bulbs. I mean, do you think the Chinese have got time in their hands to sit at home watching bloody British opening their fridge and putting, whatever food they have on the fridge and stuff like that? I mean, do you think the Chinese are even interested what the British do? No, they've got better things to do, like building an economy and, working and making China the number one economy in the world. They haven't got time to sit around watching a bunch of British to see what kind of food they put in the fridge and, what kind of food they buy from the groceries and put in the fridge. I mean, they haven't got time to look at shit like that. I mean, what kind of stupid planet are you from to write an article such as this? I mean, this is obviously written by Rachel Hagan, world news reporter. Really, she's a world news reporter, and she is that narrow-minded. She kind of reports some shitty stuff like this. Anyway, I'm not going to read you the whole article because it's bloody ridiculous. So that ends my program for today. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really does help and really helps me motivate me making more videos. If I don't get the views or the likes, then it really demotivates me. And I just feel that you guys are not interested in what I have to say anymore. So I'm only doing this for you guys. I'm extremely busy, so I try and make some time for you. Try and make some videos during the week. Times are hard at the moment because of my new job and other stuff that I'm doing. So take care for now, and don't forget to do all this stuff. And if you can help support the channel and help me go full time on YouTube, then you can join my Patreon or locals. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.